Have you ever really stopped to think about your beliefs? I don't mean what you believe, but how you believe. Well, today we're basically going to become architects of our own minds. We're going to deconstruct this whole idea of belief, and we'll look at the hidden foundations, the load-bearing walls, and even the tools we use to build our entire worldview. Okay, let's get into it. So let's just start with a really direct question for you. What are your beliefs really made of? When you dig down deep, are they solid bedrock? Or are they something way more complex, something built piece by piece over your whole life? That's the real mystery we're going to try and unravel today. All right, so here's our blueprint for this whole explainer. First, we'll look at the unseen foundations. Then we'll move to the emotional heart of your beliefs. After that, we'll check out your intellectual toolkit, and then we'll explore the dark side, when beliefs become prisons. And finally, we'll talk about how to build a worldview that's actually designed to evolve and grow. Okay, first stop, the unseen foundations. It's kind of wild to think about, but every single belief you have is built on top of this hidden architecture. These structures that honestly, we rarely, if ever, even notice are there. It really all begins with assumptions. The best way to think about these is like the invisible scaffolding of your mind. They are the unstated rules, the things you just take for granted before you even start thinking about something. It's the ground everything else is built on, and most of the time, you don't even know you're standing on it. So, building on those assumptions, our brains use something called schemas. You can think of them like mental filing cabinets or little templates. They help us sort through the absolute flood of information we get every single day. And they're super efficient, right? But here's the catch. They can also create biases, making us see exactly what we expect to see, not necessarily what's really there. And then, towering over all of it, you have your paradigms. So if assumptions are the scaffolding and schemas are the filing cabinets, then a paradigm, well, that's the master blueprint for the entire building. It's the huge overarching story that literally dictates what you even think is possible, what questions are worth asking, and what truths you're even willing to consider. Okay, so we've seen the hidden foundation, which is fascinating stuff. But now let's move to the real heart of the structure, those personal, emotionally charged beliefs that truly define who we are as people. Now, this quote gets to the heart of it. A core belief isn't just some random idea, it's the central nucleus of who you are. These are the big ones, the load-bearing walls of your personality. They are the fundamental convictions that give your life a sense of meaning, of consistency. They make your story make sense to you. So, what do these core beliefs actually do? Well, they're working all the time. They act as your internal compass, always pointing you toward what feels right. They literally filter everything you go through, coloring how you see the world. They guide your moral choices, and, this is a big one, they give you that sense of being a stable, continuous person over time. And this leads us right to the next layer, values. You see, if core beliefs are about what you hold to be true, your values are how you turn that into action. They're the moral yardstick you use to decide how to behave. They're the bridge that connects what you know to what you do. All right, so we've got our foundations, we've got our core structure. Now let's look at the actual tools we use, the stuff we use to consciously build, maintain, and sometimes even renovate our entire belief system. Okay, I know this sounds like a heavy academic word, but epistemology is something every single one of us has. It's basically your personal rule book for what counts as knowledge. How do you decide if something's true? Do you need cold, hard data? Is a gut feeling enough? Do you trust an expert? Whatever your answer is, that's your personal epistemology at work, and it shapes everything you accept as real. And here we have maybe the most important tool in the entire box, questioning. Now, it's so easy to think of questioning as a sign of doubt or weakness, but it's actually the exact opposite. Think of it like your mind's immune system. It's the self-correcting process that protects you from rigid, dogmatic thinking and keeps your beliefs healthy and actually connected to reality. But of course, any structure, no matter how well-intentioned, can become a prison if it's too rigid. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the dangers, about how the very architecture we build to make sense of the world can sometimes end up trapping us inside. And this really starts with something called limiting beliefs. These are those self-imposed rules that just whisper in your ear, oh, I can't do that, or that's not for people like me. They usually come from fear or some old experience, and they create these nasty feedback loops that can stop us from even trying to grow or change. It's like we're building our own low ceilings. And when a belief system completely stops evolving, it turns into dogma. This is the moment a living, breathing idea basically fossilizes and becomes a stone monument. Yeah, dogma can give you the comfort of feeling like you're absolutely certain, but it comes at a massive price. It shuts down all curiosity, all questioning, all possibility of growth. Your conviction becomes closure. This slide does such a great job of showing the fine line between a healthy belief and a really dangerous one. Over on the left, you have conviction. It's firm, sure, but it's anchored in reflection, and it can be revised. It gives you courage. But on the right, you have zealotry. That's conviction with zero reflection. It fuses the belief with your actual identity, so any challenge to the idea feels like a personal attack. It just destroys openness and reduces a beautifully complex world to a simple us versus them. So how do we stop ourselves from building these mental prisons? Well, that brings us to our final section. How to build a mental architecture that's flexible, that's adaptable, and that is truly designed for a lifetime of growth. The absolute key to all of this is your mindset. And this isn't about one specific belief. It's about your whole attitude towards all your beliefs. So, do you see your ideas as these precious things that have to be defended at all costs? Or do you see them more like hypotheses that are constantly being tested and revised as new evidence comes in? That difference is everything. And this comparison is just a perfect illustration of that point. You've got the fixed mindset on one side, believing things are static, avoiding challenges, and then you have the growth mindset on the other, the kind you need for an evolving worldview. It sees abilities as things you can develop, it embraces challenges, it actually learns from criticism, and it finds inspiration, not a threat, in other people's success. And this brings us to a really powerful, kind of advanced idea, the ability to yield. Now, this doesn't mean you just give up on your beliefs. It means you consciously relax your white-knuckle grip on certainty to make room for new insights. It's having the strength to be flexible, the humility to say, hey, I might be wrong about this, and the willingness to let your most deeply held convictions actually evolve. So when we look at the entire architecture of our minds, it becomes pretty clear. True intellectual strength isn't found in how rigidly we hold our beliefs. It's found in how we hold them, with reflection, with humility, and with a genuine openness to growth. So, I'll leave you with this final question to think about. Looking at the blueprint of your own mind. Which belief, maybe even a small one, are you ready to yield on just a little in order to grow?